Hello, so today we're talking about function notation. So your goal for today is I can write a function in function notation. Go ahead and pre-write yourself on that. Okay, so what we're going to start off by doing is we are going to match these equations to each situation. These are not written in function notation. Now remember, the word notation just means a way of writing. Okay, so it's just another way of writing an equation. All right, number one says Paige, Sydney, Abby, and Emma each have a savings account. They each do household chores and earn an allowance. Each girl chooses to save a different amount per week. Excuse me. In each of the following equations, X represents the number of weeks. Y represents the total amount they have saved overall. Match the equation that fits each description. So go ahead and pause the video and try to match each of these four equations to their four situations. All right, let's see how you did. The first one says Paige has $15 in her account and is saving $5 each week. So $15, $5 each week. That's the equation that will match Paige. Y equals 5x plus 15. You could really attempt to write these on your own and then, make sure your answer's up there somewhere. All right, the next one. Sydney has $30 in her account and is saving $10 each week. So she has $30 and she's saving $10 each week. So that's Y equals 10x plus 30. The next one. Abby has $10 in her account, and she's saving $30 each week, $30 each week. Y equals 30x plus 10. And then obviously by process of elimination, we know what the last one is, but let's just make sure, right? Emma has $5 in her account, and she's saving $15 each week. Okay. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and move this up here a little bit. It says, how much money would Abby have after 12 weeks of savings? So here's Abby. So I want to know how much she would have after 12 weeks. So I have Y equals 30 times 12 plus $10. Y equals, you can use a calculator if you need to do 30 times 12. In my head, what I do is I do 12 times 3, which is 36. Add a 0, that's 360. Plus 10 is 370. So she'll have $370. How much money would Paige have after 12 weeks? Y equals, I'm going to look for Paige. Paige is equation A. 5 times 12 plus 15. That's 60 plus 15, which is $75. Next one. How long will it take before Emma has $50 in her account? So this time they gave me a final amount. Here's Emma. They gave me the final amount, which is 50. So Y is 50 equals 15x plus 5. And I'm trying to find the number of weeks it will take, so that's why I'm solving for x. All right, subtract 5 from both sides. 45 equals 15x divided by 15. X equals 3. Okay, please also make sure you're writing an equation and solving it. I should probably put a proper unit on that. 3 weeks. Please make sure you're writing an equation and solving it. I always hear people say like, oh, I just used guess and check. Like I just tried, I guessed 2 and it didn't work. So then I tried 3 and it worked. Well, what if I changed $50 to 80 billion, right? How are you going to do on guess and check on that, right? So make sure you're writing an algebraic equation in our algebra class and solving it. Okay, so the question is next is, are all of these equations functions? The answer is yes, these are functions. How do I know? It's because every input is just going to give me one output. If I plug in 12, I'm not going to get 2 different answers if I plug it into one equation. So every input has exactly one output. Remember that I told you that you would be writing that a lot. Okay, when an equation is a function, we can express it in a clearer way by using something called function notation. Let's rewrite the equations from problem 1 using this new form. So first off, let's rewrite. All that we're doing is changing the way it looks, and we're putting it in our new form. Okay? All right, so I need to move back up here. Let's start with Paige. Okay? So here is Paige's equation. I used green for her, so let's stick to it. Here's Paige's equation. Y equals 5x plus 15. So instead of using the y, we're going to use p for Paige, and we say p of x equals. And that's what we're going to use in the place of y. And then 5x plus 15 was Paige's equation. If we look at Sydney, she had 10x plus 30 in Sydney, so I'm going to use s of x. And that was 10x plus 30. Abby, I'm going to use a of x. A of x is equal to 30x plus 10. And then finally, Emma, I'll use e of x. Let's put hers down here. Is equal to 15x plus 5. So what you have to remember is that p of x, s of x, a of x, e of x, the most popular one is f of x, f standing for function. It's just a fancy way of saying y. It's the same thing as y. It's just a different way of writing it. Now, how is this helpful? When I was up here and I had to say how much did Abby have, I had to look for which one was Abby's. Oh, this one's Abby's. Then I looked down here. For this one, all I have to do is, oh yeah, Abby was a of x. So I just can match it up that way. So it is a different form that can be easier to work with. All right, so it says determine the value of s of 4 and explain what it means in the context. So s of 4, remember this is just notation right here. It's no value. It means plug in 4 for x into the equation s. So I'm going to plug in 4 into this equation right here, okay? So this equation right here, I'm going to plug in 4. So I'm going to do 10 times 4 plus 30. So S of 4 is 70. Okay, so now I want to explain what does this mean, okay? So remember, the S stands for Sydney, right? The 4 stands for a number of weeks, and the 70 stands for how much money she has. So I'm going to write that as a sentence. I'm going to say, after 4 weeks, comma, Sydney has $70. And that's my explain the meaning in the context of the problem. Okay, make sure you're saying after 4 weeks, and make sure you're mentioning this is Sydney's money and that she has $70. Okay, let's try another one here. We're going to do P of 10. So we're going to go to P, that's this equation right here, and we're going to plug in 10. 5 times 10 plus 15. So P of 10 is equal to, that's 50 plus 15, which is 65. All right, so now I have to explain what this means in the context of the problem. P stood for Paige. 10 is the number of weeks. 65 is how much money she's going to make. So after 10 weeks, Paige has $65. Looks like Paige is getting the short end of the stick here, right? She's got less money than Sydney, and she's been working 6 weeks longer. Oi. Okay, next. Explain the meaning of the context E of 18 equals 225 in the context of the problem. So go ahead and pause your video and write a sentence that describes that. All right, you should have after 18 weeks. E stood for Emma, remember? Emma has $275. Go, Emma. Okay. All right, let's try another scenario. Valerie currently has $35 and she earns $10 per hour while babysitting. What are the variables in this story? So this is very reminiscent of things that we've been doing in the past, all right? This isn't like, oh my God, new stuff. It's very similar to what we've been doing. All right, so I need X and I need Y. All right, so let's see what's happening here. Valerie currently has $35 and she earns $10 per hour when babysitting. So the more hours she works, the more money she's going to make. So X is going to be number of hours worked. Y is going to be the money made. Or I shouldn't say money made because she's making $10 per hour and she already has $35. So let's reword that. Let's say money Valerie has. That's terrible English, but it's better than money made. Okay, which variable would be the input and which variable would be the output? X is our input. Y is our output, right? And I don't have to write number of hours money Valerie has because it's right above that. Write an equation in function notation with your variables, okay? So remember, usually we write Y equals and then your equation, the rest of your equation after that. But instead of writing Y equals, we want to write it in function notation. So you can pick any letter that you want. You can do F of X. I'm going to do V of X because her name is Valerie and I just like it. But once again, if you use F of X, G of X, Q of X, P of X, whatever you want. All right, now I'm going to write the rest of the equation. She has $35. She earns $10 per hour. So 35 plus 10x. And you could have 10x plus 35. It's the same thing. Use function notation to write an equation for the question. Then find the answer. So this one says, Valerie babysat for 6 hours. How much money does she have now? All right, so we're finding V of 6. 35 plus 10 times 6. So V of 6 is 60 plus 35, $95. So there's our equation. And how much does she have now? $95. Next one, use function notation to write an equation for the phrase, after working 14 hours, Valerie has saved up $175. Go ahead and pause the video and write an equation that represents that. All right. V of 14 equals 175. See that? Okay. Next, we're going to be looking at a graph and doing the same thing. So it says Valerie's friend Jenny also babysits. Let J of H represent the amount of money that Jenny has after working H hours in its graph below. So they didn't use X, they used H. They used H instead of X and J of H instead of Y. Determine the value of J of 3. What does your answer mean in the context of the problem? Okay, so I'm going to say J of 3 is. So realize this is when hours worked is 3. You can look at it as when X is 3. They call it H though. Okay, so when X is 3. So here's X is 3. I'm going to look up and see what Y is. So here's a point right here, and Y is 35. So I'm going to say J of 3 is 35. And now I'm going to write what it means in the context of the problem. So I'm going to say after 3 hours, Jenny has $35. All right, next one. For what value of H does J of H equal 45? Okay, let me erase this right here. So here's what you have to get used to is the notation, the function notation. What is this a fancy way of saying? J of H is a fancy way of saying what? Y. So this is saying when Y is 45, what is H, right? What value of H? So when Y is 45, what is X? So now we're going to look here. Here's Y is 45. It's this point right here. What's X? 4, okay? So we'll say H is 4 hours. If you accidentally put X as 4 hours, it's fine. What does your answer mean in the context of the problem? So I'm going to say Jenny. I'm not going to say after 4 hours, Jenny will make $45 because the 45 was given to me first. So I'm going to say Jenny will have to work 4 hours to make $45, which is the same idea. So Jenny will have to work, 4 hours in order to have $45. And the 45 came from right here. Okay. That's it for function notation. Go ahead and re-rate yourself on how you feel about the new way of writing equations, which is function